no matter where you go today, no matter what you're doing, AI matters. And as such, I think I'm excited to be on this panel with guys who know a little bit about this space. For me, I am only giving you information as how my company is handling this process. And hopefully, you guys can learn from it and take home and make it useful. But one thing for sure, AI is here and it's something we all have to cultivate. So with that, I'll switch to Todd Quasher, who would lead this presentation, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much, guys. Todd and Hyman, go ahead.
Okay, so is your company ready for AI? Jaime gave a great presentation last month, and I'll probably cover some things that he talked about, and you can fill in stuff afterwards. But I'm going to start off with some really basic stuff that everybody probably already knows. But what an algorithm is a set of instructions to be followed in calculations or other operations. And an IA algorithm is the programming that tells the computer how to learn to operate it on its own. AI is the process of enabling machines to make human-like decisions. To do this, data is input, images, sound, speech, and text. The machine learns to comprehend the data it collects and is trained to match patterns. It's very basic information. We're already living with AI. It's all around us. We've been having it for quite some time. Virtual assistants, Amazon, Alexa, Google, Siri, face recognition, safety features on our smartphones, TVs in public spaces, social media apps that they suggest products and services and people we should connect with, entertainment business, Netflix, Prime Video that offers featured based on our preferences, banking and finance, fraud detection, security, credit scoring, chatbots, scheduling appointments, and so forth, education, online learning, adaptive tutoring systems, navigation, GPS systems, automobiles for object detection to sensors, self-driving vehicles, smart homes controlling our environment, entertainment, lighting, electrical appliances, and writing, content creation with chat GPT and so forth. So I'm kind of rushing through this lack of time here. How your business can benefit from AI. So generative AI is not a new concept, but it's been newly simplified and made accessible to the average user. It responds to human conversation and text prompts to serve as a tool for customer service and personalization of customer workflows, such as, for example, chatbots, voice bots, virtual assistants, as well as generating visual concepts. I stress tool because AI is basically a tool for businesses. And it's also kind of in many things in its beta stage. Website, a chatbot, or something that I think that our business could use a lot. It's when applied to a website page, chatbots can communicate with humans through text messages per trained. They are the most successful substitution for web forms. It helps to manage employee time, initiate calls, and sales. So who in our organization can use this? Everyone. It's up to you if you think it's good for your company. It's the opportunity for businesses to improve customer engagement, 24/7 availability, cost savings, increased revenue, powerful insights you can gain from these chatbot inquiries. Go next slide. So in essence, I mean, it's basically you have someone on these chatbots, the user query, it goes to their database that has your information you've input. They collects the relevant chunks of information and the AI prompts sends back an answer. Well, this is not a, use it, set it up and let it do itself. You have to train it to be able to work properly. You have to test it and make sure that when someone puts in an answer, it's actually giving out the right answer for you. And you can have various chatbots on your website for different pages, for different services, products, and different, inquiries. Used to be it's expensive to code it, but now there's some inexpensive non-coding platforms. One of them is Microsoft, which a lot of people use. And I think Jaime spoke about this in his last presentation about Microsoft Copilot is one of those. It's very available. It's Microsoft 365 apps such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, and Loop use this to operate with Copilot to support users in the context of their work. For example, Copilot in Word is designed to assist users specifically in the process of creating, understanding, and editing your documents. For example, very simple, you type in, draft a proposal based on yesterday's notes that I made, and it'll come up with a proposal for you. I mean, it's a tool. Another one is ChatLink, I think is a good one. It learns from your website content, knowledge base, and other resources. So, I mean, this is an example of a pop-up where you ask, can I help you today? Can you track my order for you? Directs you to whatever for you tracking it, or whatever your product or service information you're trying to find, delivery information, appointments. Chat GPT is an AI chatbot, which Jaime talked about, natural language processing that allows you to have human-like conversation to complete various tasks. And I think Jaime went over this pretty in detail about how effective this can be. Just for one example is that can change the tone of a communication you give. You want to draft a letter, and this is the original tone. Hello, we're connecting you regarding the security of your data, although a thorough assessment of AT&T has determined that blah, 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 blah. So you say, well, I don't really like that. Can you do something better? Maybe it should be informal. So it'll spew out an informal version of the text, or a professional tone, or it'll take an academic tone. But that's just one of many things that ChatGPT can do. Pros and cons of the ChatGPT: it does generate writing ideas, explains complex topics, can edit text, summarize and paraphrase, and help save time. The cons, and Jaime went over this too, it can't really verify the information. Sometimes it's prone to bias, lacks originality. It can misinterpret prompts, and sometimes the results can be outdated. So you really have to check what the response back is from ChatGPT. Coincidentally, we're on Zoom, and Zoom has a new feature, an AI companion, which is very convenient if you're doing team chats, or you're doing, let's say, a boardroom on Zoom. It will record the meeting, and it will summarize it for you. So it would save you a lot of time. So something to check out. I've used it myself. AI used for service provider companies. Scheduling bot appointment is a chatbot that allows users to schedule appointments automatically without human interaction. Also, to help calculate the scope of a job and the number of employees to assign to a specific task. And then by using GPS navigation tools, I'll jump to UPS, for example, uses a proprietary AI-powered GPS tool called Orion to calculate deliveries and create the most efficient routes for its fleet. They invested something like $250 or $300 million in this system, but they're saying that they're making a huge profit as a result of that. Now, our companies, we don't have that money to invest in stuff, and you don't really need it. However, already we have Google Maps, Waze, and other examples of AI using satellite navigation to analyze real-time traffic data, efficiently optimizing travel routes, and saving time for, say, a plumber or electrician, transportation companies to find the fastest route. So these are already available to us right now, and they're free. So if you're not using it, I assume most people are, you should be using these. For example, architecture and engineering IA tools. Recent survey, 41% of architects have used it at least on the occasional project. 43% found that it's made the design process more efficient. More than half, 54% of architects expect their practice to use IA over the next 2 years, and 57% expect it to improve efficiency in the design process. There are several. There's this one called Room Sketcher and Get Floor Plans. It's an AI-powered rendering tool software that creates 2D and 3D floor plans, as well as 360 virtual tours from photos and architectural plans that you submit to it. There's kind of a screenshot of the tools, very easy to use. It shows what you can create. There's this one here. It's an interesting sketch to render and Visioid. It's a 3D rendered image by uploading or dragging and dropping sketches and that can transform into realistic concepts. Here's one example, another example finalized. And this is an idea, like you sketch something like this and you work with it and you come up with a result on the right-hand side. or these kind of a blocked idea of what you want to do for an aerial view of the downtown, and you'll convert to this here. Generous SO is an AI program that generates digital rendering using text descriptions, similar to Chat GPT. You input the text and it'll create images for you. There's the same with Architect GPT, which is a very similar. It has different themes. If you have a modern or an Art Deco, or you're going for a rustic look, and you have images that you're trying to create a look, this will generate ideas. There's an independent research lab that offers AI generative text to image service. It's expensive, but if you had an elaborate project and you feed them the information, they will supply you a final drawing like this.
Oh,
So AI tools for graphic design and marketing. You can augment brand identity designs and marketing by using AI platforms. We use like Adobe Firefly and iStock IA generator now to create preliminary concepts for developing the final design for logos, other marketing material. Also, Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator also has IA tools now to modify and refine designs. I'm kind of rushing through this. Here's a kind of snapshot of what they could do. This is a generator AI. They can do so many things that combining images, scaling up images, turning type into art, to removing objects, blending modes. They can take, you say, I want a library look. You start telling me you want to have a floor that looks like a mossy floor with a pool. Let's generate a jaguar here. And this is sort of how it works. You start with an image of a flower. Circle is here, generate a yellow bee. So it comes up with a bee, it puts it in there, and you say, well, how about if we imagine a honeybee with diamonds in it? And this is the reference source for the diamonds comes from another source, and that you work with it to come up with the look you want. How about just a regular busy bee or a beaded flower pet? Or let's have the flower have beads as well. So it's a way of generating. It pulls from sources, and you can create these things using generative AI. And our own company, just example of the Executive Association of San Francisco logo. It's a circular emblem logo of San Francisco with iconic imagery of famous bridges, buildings, and cable car. Now, this is part of our trademark description. I figured I'd use the Photoshop Firefly and see what they come up with. This is what we designed a few years back for that, to come up with that image. If you feed this information into, say, Firefly, they come up with some interesting illustration images, which is not exactly what I'd be looking for. But if you have a project or a concept that you're working on, it does generate some really interesting ideas that you can work from and take and say, oh, what if we did this, and so forth. So it's a tool again. Example of our own logo, a black crow looking backward with a circle, black wavy lines and a light blue background, designed like a line art pub sign. And so this is the logo that I came up with a few years back. So I was curious to see what they would come up with. And there's some really cool designs, which might am using for something else. And then this is the iStock AI generator, what they came up with. But again, like I'm saying, these are tools, and they're kind of beta things too you need to work with. Another one is we had a Crawshaw Design services ad. The idea was a flying parrot holding a scroll of paper in his talons with San Francisco below in the distance. This is the image that I came up with a few years back. We actually photographed this parrot with wingspread. It was all done in Photoshop before AI was available. But I fed it into put this text information. This is what they came up with, some ideas. So if you have an idea and it may not be the final product, but it gives you some ideas to work with. Spot free window cleaning logo. Michael had come to me a while back saying, I was thinking of maybe having a logo with a leopard wiping off a section of the spots with a squeegee. So I figured, okay, why not just see what they come up with? So one of the images they came up with this, it wasn't quite there, but figured, well, you could start modifying it and transform this possibly into a logo. But what I'm saying here is that this generative AI is really interesting for not only text solutions, but for visual art solutions when you're brainstorming for ideas. Now here's a picture of our one of our cats, Frankie, and Helene decided to turn him into a superhero. So you can do all sorts of fun things too with generative AI. So what is the future of AI? Well, there are types of AI. Weak AI is mostly used today. It's limited to one specific task, such as playing chess, assembling a product, email spam filters, chatbots, smart assistants, and so forth. The future will be considered strong AI that can transfer what it learns from one task to another with the ability to think more like a human. Take, for example, the voice IA recognition, the example of the movie Iron Man, where it depicts a fictional artificial intelligent character who serves as Tony Stark's personal assistant. And it's possible that we're kind of moving in that direction, where the more and more we have this interplay with devices that are very human-like, and that's probably where the future is headed. And we could have voice and virtual interaction with our own mobile devices and have virtual meetings and conference calls eventually. It's just a fantasy, but that's what I've got.
Wow, well done, Todd. Well done. Wow, wow. Look, that's comprehensive. Well done. Look, I'm going to try to patch together everything Todd has just done. So for us, our protocol, we got into business, being in the cloud 15 years ago with Salesforce, and could never have imagined where we are today. And as such, there's been a lot of progress along the way. And now we are at AI, a place where if you are not, you may find yourself dead, because things are very expensive, very competitive, and time consuming. And as such, you have to find a space in all of that for your company to exist. For us, a few things that are problematic on a daily basis is time, competition, and cost. Those three things are something we discuss every day. And you find out your customers, your competitors are thinking about those things as well. So for you, you have to be relevant in all of those areas. And luckily for us, we had partnered with Salesforce, and Salesforce designed the Einstein AI, and it was an easy progression, a progression that we could never have afforded, been able to afford, or imagine even implementing anything like this into our system. Luckily, though, we had been a long way with Salesforce. So adding the AI into what we're doing, into our space, was relatively affordable, because now you're looking 15 years back, we had done so many different things that brought us to this stage that it was easy to add and complement what we had been doing. So, for example, look, you can imagine today we get maybe 600 emails a day. That's cumbersome to answer those emails. And where do you begin? At times it takes 6 days to answer some of those, and you put them in boxes as a fake, what was a fraud, all of those things. Yeah. But with Salesforce Einstein, we are able to categorize all of these emails. In case in point, an email from San Francisco execs, it ticks in right away as a customer or a known commodity. And as such, he's able to read and answer some of those questions. And in fact, respond if we have them on a respond message to the inquiry. That is huge. and that can happen in short order, meaning, guess what? It takes 6 days. Now it could take 10 minutes. It could take half hour, depending on how you rank those addresses in your system. And in fact, it does rank those systems itself as to, wow, you always answer this email very quickly. So we're going to try and respond to that email very quickly. And in terms of, I am remotely traveling in China, for example, and I get an email from Todd. I can see every conversation I've had with Todd, not going into my email, but going directly into Salesforce and following all of those emails and getting any information I want. Until now, I had to log into that account, look it up, find it, and then scroll up and down. But with Einstein AI, I don't have to do that anymore. I have all of Todd's conversation in one place. And as such, I can go back as far as I want. And that's because we have been on the Salesforce platform for 15 years, and now we have an additional tool that has made it easier. So for us at this point, we are leading, and our competitors cannot compete in terms of speed. And in today's world, speed is important. So thank God we have that tool, and thank God we are going to use it as as intelligent as possible. And it's going to save us money, and it's going to allow us to grow and even grow further than we can ever imagine, because a lot is happening very quickly. So with that, some of my competitors are going to be asking, how did you grow your company? Well, we just didn't grow it. We've been growing it. And it's been taking time to reach this point, because over a period of 15 years, we've added different tools from one provider who is now at a different space, at a different place, but can also still help us reach where we want to go today. So in a nutshell, look, AI is crucial. AI does so many things for you. If you can find a partner who has all of these things at your disposal. Luckily for us, we found a partner, we stayed with that partner, and it's going to pay off. And as such, my recommendation is that for all of us, whether you're a small business or a large business, find a place that you can find a partner who can do what you're imagining for your businesses, because other competitors are doing the same. And in fact, if you're hiring anyone today, some of these things are standard for them to compete. And if they don't have those tools, they cannot really compete for you. So for me, I'm just grateful and thankful that I made some good and practical decision. And as such today, with the emergence of AI, we have some of these things in place. We can use it. We're still developing them. And the more data and the more information we're able to collect, the more efficient we're going to be. So with that, we are ahead of our competitors. Now, just imagine saving cost. Look, a lot of these things can tell me what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, where we're buying gasoline, and what each car is doing. So you have a lot of different things going on under one roof. And you can get all of those data if you need them. But the more you build in data, the more efficient it's going to be, and the more competitive you're going to be. So with those things in place, it's a no-brainer. I was talking to Andy at Flowtech the other day, and in fact, I'd called him to make a payment about for a service they provided, and he said, "Oh, Patrick, I need to call you back because we're working on our system." And in fact, that's old school. And in fact, he hasn't called me back because they are very busy. And the way their system runs is still, in my opinion, antiquated. But today, in today's world, you will be able to get all of those information. Oh, I didn't even need to give him a new credit card to process that transaction, put the money in the bank, and go about your next business. So those are advantages of things that I think are important and are going to make your business very competitive, and in fact necessary, or even more importantly, they might be vital in the real estate business. I could imagine the same thing. So the point is, from my perspective, is you have to invest in AI. It is here. I think Todd did an amazing job. In fact, he was able to break down different companies and different services. I did not know those were around. And for small companies, it's going to be hard to decide who to partner with or to use. So yes, it's very challenging. It's going to take some time, but it is important to start somewhere and put something in place that you can build on. Because from my perspective, and a lot of the people we work with, it's about building data. And those data are going to help you make decisions. And as such, help you grow, make your life easy, and make your company first rate. Another case in point that I wanted to stress is forecasting. A lot of us are in business where, well, I want to take a vacation, but well, I'm always taking a vacation during the busy season. Guess what? AI can tell you that. Can tell you you've been traveling. My computer can tell me now you've been traveling a lot. We think you should be doing things this way because it knows your schedule. And as such, can tell you maybe you should consider taking a vacation in January rather than in August because I see a lot of busy stuff on your calendar during August when you were somewhere else. So those things are helpful in terms of forecasting sales, forecasting cost, forecasting reservations in our situation in terms of booking, and forecast what if we should be buying new cars and where. So those things are just important and useful for my company and in my decision making. And it tells us so many things that we had to work on in the past. Today, we are not working as much in getting some of that information. And it's nice. I was in China for 10 days. Unbelievably, I was able to still, of course, encrypted. I was able to work like I was in San Francisco and get some of the useful information I needed to to do what I needed to do. And it was very impressive that we had reached this point. And the trip I took 2 months ago, I couldn't do that. But today, because of where we are, I was able to get information, up to date information that I needed to make decisions while traveling in remote areas of the world. So that's that. And then what are the benefits? The biggest benefit I've seen is with our pricing. Our pricing. We have kept our prices. Because why? It hasn't told us to increase the price. And the system is built to advise us on increasing the price. But at this point, it's telling us, no, don't increase your price. And we are not increasing our price. And trust me, that could have taken months to make that decision and a lot of hard work to get those numbers, not to mention outside help. But with today's inside information, you can determine some of those things yourself. So we're staying cost effective, and we're keeping our prices where they should be. And employees are remote and are very effective. We can't complain. So from my perspective, I recommend AI. I think it's a useful tool, but I think, of course, we have a trust issue, a big trust issue. And I was skeptical myself. I won't lie to you, but the fact that we had been with Salesforce for 15 years and we had done so many different implementation made that transition possible. And we are still in that transition. So my point is, look, you've got to start from somewhere. It is here for everyone, and it's a tool that is not going away. But you have to search and find which tool is going to work for your own company. So with that in time, I'm going to have to switch over and shift gears to Jaime, and he can wrap it up for us. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go very fast. So we were hoping that the three of us, Patrick, Todd, and I, do a presentation on AI and how it works, where can you find it, and how we're using it in our business and how you can use it in your business, and then the future. So, but because I'm the only one here, I'm going to talk about the under the hood. I'm a hardware guy. I design networks. And when I say I design networks, I'm talking about the firewall, the servers, the computer, the actual physical stuff, and their brains. We don't do application development. We do a little bit of programming. We don't do websites. And we don't develop, applications, right? Like for Instagram and things like that. We are the hardware guys. So we are the ones that, mount the physical stuff. It's like, imagine the vehicle, right? We're the ones that know about the tires, the engine, and the brains inside the engine. All the features we don't design. That's a comparison. When it comes to AI, however, we're very familiar with the hardware that powers AI. And I was going to talk about the hardware that powers AI and what's the future of AI from that point of view. So I'll talk about that. And so the rise of AI really started with OpenAI is the name of the company who came up with ChatGPT. They were like the very first ones that made it public. Come check it out. Let me show you what I got. And then Google launched Gemini, and they flopped terribly. Then a couple weeks ago, Meta, Facebook, launched Llama 3.0, and surprisingly, it's very good, like really, really good. Like this comparison charts against ChatGPT 4.0, and it's awesome. ChatGPT is charging for many features that Llama is giving you for free, and we'll talk about those. And then there is probably the most important component of all of this. In order for these AI systems to run efficiently and fast, they need hardware. They need an engine, and that's where NVIDIA comes in. So if you ever hear like, "Hey, are you jumping on this AI, bubble, right, or stock market?" NVIDIA is the one that's just blowing up. because they have the most powerful graphical processing units, right? And you would think that's a CPU because computers have a CPU, right? That process the data. And so how is a GPU, something that was invented for video gaming, taking over the world now, right? So I'll share a little bit about that in NVIDIA and how they are shaping the future of AI. So artificial intelligence has seen tremendous growth, evolving from the basic algorithms to some very sophisticated systems that can understand and generate human-like text. It recognizes images, it recognizes sounds, and it can interpret sounds and attitudes, as well as it drives cars now, right? Companies and their AI engines are, like I said, Google Gemini, OpenAI ChatGPT, Meta with Llama 3.0. And AI is now used in various sectors, including examples like healthcare for diagnostics, finance for predictive analytics, and retail for personalized shopping experiences. These things are already up and running in many enterprises. I'm gonna go very fast, but ChatGPT is the one ahead of everybody. They were the first ones to introduce it and make it public. ChatGPT and GPT actually stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. It's a family of models. It is designed to understand and generate human-like text based on the input it receives. GPT models use transformer architecture, which excels at processing sequential data. ChatGPT has demonstrated remarkable capabilities in natural language processing. It can generate coherent and contextually relevant text, making it useful for applications such as chatbots, content creation, and even coding assistance. This innovation has significantly advanced human-computer interaction. And that's what I really want you guys to remember, okay? This innovation has significantly advanced human-computer interaction. That is why ChatGPT is huge and it's just incredible. We're going to talk about some examples of that in the next slides. So this I already talked about, but bringing some of the new features and enhanced context understanding, better grasps of nuanced languages and context, making interaction more natural. So you don't have to learn how to spell properly. I mean, like your grammar could be really bad. How you speak doesn't have to be perfect. But if you just tell ChatGPT a little paragraph of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, and you say, do this, but don't do that, it gets you, and it's incredible. So that's the power. That's one of the big features. You go to the other AI systems, and if English is not your first language, then the system has a hard time understanding you. Increased token limit ability to handle longer conversations and more complex queries. You can write a page now about what you want and you don't want, and this thing will break it down and give you amazing results. Faster response times, higher accuracy in generating relevant text. And like I said, multimodal capabilities, model capabilities, which supports text, images, sound, and video. How smart is it? So this chart here shows us, like in a verbal, the graduate record exam is a standardized test that is required for admission to many graduate schools across North America. ChatGPT scored 99. In the SAT, in the Uniform Bar exam, 90%. in the math SAT, 89%, average is 70. On the LSAT in the law, average is 40. ChatGPT scored an 88. Biology, it scored 85th. So this is just to tell you how incredibly accurate and smart this is when you basically ask it, hey, tell me about the cells, I don't know, in a flower, in specific flower, right? How is it compared to a cell in, my body, right? And boom, it'll just tell you exactly. Chemistry, and as it goes down, you will see that it doesn't have to be in English language, in English literature, and code. Like when it starts writing a code for you, like if you say you want to create an application, it's not going to be that great, but it will get you started and it will build you a basic website or program. But I just want to show you how smart this thing is. Now, we talked about how, okay, so that's the AI, let's call it the software. Now, the engine, there's something that needs to power up this thing, and that is NVIDIA. So NVIDIA's GPU have significantly accelerated data processing and analysis. Tasks that used to take days or weeks can now be completed within hours or even minutes. This acceleration has been particularly impactful in deep learning, where models with millions of parameters require substantial computational power. So NVIDIA has built an extensive ecosystem of software tools and platforms. For example, TensorRT optimizes deep learning models for inference, and QDNN provides high-performance GPU-accelerated libraries for deep neural networks. And so the difference is that when Intel was first born, they gave us something called a CPU, a central processing unit, right? And then when video gaming kicked off, NVIDIA saw the power and the need for something that's going to give us faster graphics, right? And CPUs is mainly for data processing, but GPU needs to be faster for graphical, right? So imagine your screen, right? Your screen, imagine it's a 1080, resolution, right? So that means you have 1080 pixels across. And now the new monitors have 8,000 pixels. But let's just stay with what you probably know, which is 1080, 1,000 pixels across, right? Something like GPU, imagine that every little pixel has a processor, right? Underneath it has a little brain underneath it. And the best example is that to display such rich graphics that are super smooth and super fast, each little pixel needs its own little processor. And that's kind of like what NVIDIA came up with. So they came up with thousands of little processors. And each pixel, it almost has its own little processor. But what I'm trying to tell you is that the processing happens in parallel at the same time. And so over time, they kept working on this technology, and all of a sudden they discover that, holy smokes, we have the most power efficient and fastest processing system. And guess what they did? They decided to build servers for data centers. And then on top of that, they added AI to the chips, where the AI renders the rest of the game, the rest of the application, the rest of the use. And when they did that, they discovered that a data center with thousands of servers can now be downsized to, less than a third of the servers, less than a quarter of the servers. So now, as you can imagine, any company out there, instead of buying thousands of servers that cost $100,000 each, now they just need maybe 100 servers. Or, and it's still going to cost them like maybe $150,000, $200,000 each. That's where NVIDIA came in. Well, everybody in the world is going to NVIDIA and saying, please, please sell me your chips. Please sell me a server. And the wait time, it's incredible. So NVIDIA is just record breaking. They can't make enough servers and GPUs for the demand. So they every quarter are selling over 20 billion. Like they said that they were going to sell something like 10 billion. They were going to sell over 10 billion, and then when they reported, it happened that they sold over 23 billion. It was incredible. Like they shattered the records. And so I want to tell you that NVIDIA stock skyrocketed, and it now has dipped a little. It's going to dip a little more, but it's going to continue. And then there's other hardware manufacturing, there's other hardware partners that they have that make other components of their servers, and those are also other good companies to know who they are. But I just want you to know that this comparison here is your Intel chip called CPU with 8 or 16 or 24 little brains. And here's NVIDIA with thousands of brains on one chip. So for the next 5 years, what's going to happen? Well, it's incredible. So we can expect further advancements in AI and data science, emerging technologies like quantum computing and edge AI. This is like, we're so much closer now, because the systems itself will tell us how to build it, and the systems itself will build itself. Quantum computing is when you can do two things at the snap of a finger, versus us humans and a CPU. If you ask it what is 2 plus 2 and 5 plus 5, it's going to take one. Our brain can't multitask. You first have to first answer one problem and then the second one in line. Quantum computing is, boom, it'll tell you both answers at the exact same time. All right, that's quantum computing. So now imagine if you gave it, 10 instructions, right? It's incredible. When quantum computers arrive, it is said that it will be able to break any password out there that we have ever created within seconds. Versus now, it takes years for a computer to break a password, right? Encrypted password. So let's talk about some examples now, right? So it's fascinating. I love it, because imagine now we tell, here, let me go to the next screen. So in this diagram, what you see is you have databases, you have servers at the top, and it takes weeks to build some of these servers and databases. And, it's good money. We make a lot of good money building databases, building the servers, and then we have to go and configure the workstations, right? We have to build the workstations, and then we have to network everything so they all talk to each other. And then we provide the solution. And when you come to work, you log in, your data is available, your reports are available, right? But that's because a lot of the hardware in the back end has already been interconnected, and all the databases and the applications are all interconnected and has already been set up by your IT department, right? So to build something like this takes, weeks and months, depending on the size of your firm. But now imagine this. This is very possible. You can now go to AWS, Amazon's cloud, and you can give it instructions. You can say, build me 3 servers with these 3 databases, and this is what the databases will do. Build me 1,000 or 500 workstations or workspaces and configure them with these applications and configure them so that they talk to the server and the database. And here are the 1,000 users that will be connecting. And these are the permissions that they have. Here's the instructions, go. Artificial intelligence builds this entire infrastructure for us within, minutes, within hours. Our job now is to just go and test and make sure that the workspaces, have access to everything that they need. That just saved weeks and weeks of labor and cost. And what I wanted to say is that hello, freaking CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike. I put crowdsource here. It's supposed to say CrowdStrike. They can easily go on AWS and build a testing environment within hours and test it. I don't know what happened, but this is something that we can do for small size, medium size, and large businesses. And I'm actually going to add this to our website because one of my good friends who used to work for Macy's and for Amazon, he's a master at building infrastructures where we can just spin them up within hours, test updates, shut it down, and Amazon does not care. It's just Amazon only charges us for the time that these resources are going to be powered on and how much bandwidth, internet throughput you need. That's all they charge us for. As soon as you turn off the environment, no charge. Another example, here's a chart of the stock market. Imagine the stock market starts here on the left-hand side. Here's the open. And imagine if you knew how it works and you said, hey, the stock market moves in measured moves. If it moved to the downside, it's going to be the same amount that it did above. If it breaks to the upside, it's going to go as high as it previously did before, right? So like in here, I drew some green lines to show you the example of this is a daily intra chart, but this could be a weekly or a monthly chart. The stock market has these, characteristics and has these ways of how it moves and works because of all the algorithms and people's psychology, right? So if you understand this, you can tell ChatGPT, hey, ChatGPT, please keep an eye on this chart for me every 5 minutes. Note, right, please draw these lines here and here because I'm trying to get the next measured move, right? And ChatGPT says, okay, I see what you're trying to do, and yes, and it'll give you a whole explanation of, yes, this is how the market moves, or anyways, bottom line is, this is something that ChatGPT does right here. We give it the data, it is plotting how it is plotting the size of each measured move, and then it predicts based on the open range. If it breaks to the downside, it's going to go as far as this. If it comes back into the range and it breaks to the upside, it's going to go as high as the top green target line, right? And this happens every day, every week, every month. ChatGPT does this. If you just need to tell it, what to look for. And the last example is now with Llama 3.0, which is done by Facebook. Facebook owns, right? Facebook, Instagram, it owns WhatsApp. Now imagine if you wanted to build an application, like a cybersecurity application that says, I want you to analyze a video in Instagram. if it has text that looks like a scam or sounds like a scam, if the person on the video sounds like he's a scammer or he's pitching too hard, if the images, if the sound, if the video looks like a scam, I want you to tag it, and I want you to tell the reader this is a potential scam. Would you like me to block it or report it? The way it works is you can build this application and you can ask ChatGPT, where should I build it? How do I do this? But it'll tell you, you can go to AWS, you can build a little server, and then you connect an API, you make that connection to the Instagram API, and then your subscribers will enroll to your service, and then anything that they're watching, your server will see, and your server will be analyzing the video. And Llama 3.0, Microsoft will analyze sound, picture, video, and he can tell you, look, hey man, this is a scam. Do you want to skip it? Or, if you're watching it, be like, yeah, this is a scam. Like something can appear on the top or left, but that is the power of AI and the hardware.